Okay, let's start. Okay, so first we will complete that status code. Then I will take the new topic. Status employee controller we will choose. Or let's use the master only. Okay, so this is how we have written particular model, means particular response type from all the API. So instead of returning list of employee, we have said we are going to return common response model, right? We created object, and inside of the object result as true data if we need to send the data, from catch if we if like API break we are sending false, and if we have to send the message like that message also we have sent. Then there was that. Yeah. So in save API, we have added two check in the try catch, try block only. Result. Okay. So if email ID is already exists, still we are sending result as false, but in a message we are passing like email already exists. Like again, in some project now, you might find one more variable also for variable. Just like result is the variable which will decide like API call success or not, right? Sometimes they can create one more variable for warning also. Or let's say you have one API and from that one API you are going to insert data into multiple API. Okay. Let's say you have a whole object. Okay. Some employee fields are there. Then let's say family fields are there. Then project details are there. So all the data you are going to pass, around 50 fields you are passing to a single API. So let's say first they have written the logic to create the employee. Employee got created successfully. Then there was any error in the family, right? Then your API got broke, right? So what they will does in warning or in another property, they will send in result they will send it as true, but in warning they will send like employee got created, but error was found in family or something like that. So based on the requirement they can send multiple parameters also like this. Okay. Yeah, someone was speaking. Dipti, please be unmute. Okay. Now this is our specific model, like what we are going to return. But in some project they don't want the specific response, they want to play with the status code. Okay, so now we are going to do with that. Now, so this was a method where we were returning employee drop-down model. But now I want to continue convert this API into my that should return an status code. So whenever we have to return the status code, anyone has worked on MVC, MVC, .NET MVC, .NET Pies? Anyone have worked on MVC?
Yes, sir.
Right? So in MVC,
Yes.
when we used to create action, what was there in action? Public. What was there? Action result. Correct?
Action result.
Right?
Yes.
We used to create action na, in MVC. There we used to see action result. If we don't know, and if your method name is method return type is action result, so you can return view, right? You could have written view also.
Yeah,
You can
return view.
return JSON also, right? So action result was a
Yes,
base
sir.
class. You can consider as a base class. So if your action is having base class, so you can return any type of data. You can return view also, you can return JSON also, you can return file also, anything you could have written. Just like that, we had JSON result also. Okay. If your action name is action return type is JSON result, so you can only return JSON only. Then you cannot return view because you specified that you are going to return JSON only. So you could only return JSON. But action result was a base class which allows you to return any type of data. Sometimes it can return view, sometimes it can return JSON also. Okay. Now, just like action result in API, we have I action result. That is just an interface for action result. Okay. So now over here, instead of return type this, what I can say I action result. Okay. Now, as soon as I provided I action result, we will get error over here saying list is, wait, where it is? Yeah. So see the error. We are returning generic list of this model, but it cannot convert it into MVC. See, it is derived from MVC only. Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC action result. Okay. So those who are not related to .NET, you can ignore this part. Okay. So I action result, whenever from your API, you have to return status code created 500, bad request, not found, okay, right? 201, 200, 401, that status code I'm talking. So in that case, you have to create your action with I action result. Okay. Now, this is the simple gate API. Let's add a try catch block. Okay. So this code will go into the try block. If we got the data, so what I will does return okay. And in okay, you want to send the list. Okay. So 200, it will be returning. And if it's an error, exception, now if if we encounter any error in between this, means there was API got failed, right? So what we can do, return, what's bad request? Bad request, it won't be here. 500 we need to return. For 500, bad. No, bad request we don't. Let's try status code. Status code. And we need to return 500. Okay. So 500. And then see, we can 500. See the constructor. Status code we have passed. Two constructors are there for status code and the object value. So here we can send the message also. Okay. So here either we can send the exception dot message also, or you can send your custom message also like this. Okay. Let's check this API. From Angular side or React side, na, many project will normally in subscribe. Let me open an Angular project. See, this is normal API call we write. Apart this subscribe is, what is this subscribe means? When it will execute the subscribe block?
Observable, we subscribe.
If whatever we are executing over here, this got success, then only this subscribe call will execute. If whatever API call we have written in get of student, if that API call fail, will subscribe execute? My question is, if this get all student API got failed, will this subscribe execute? It won't execute, na? Because we got error inside this. So this subscribe block, it's like a success. Okay. If this is success, then only my subscribe block will execute. But if there was any error, so we need to catch that also, na? How do we catch that error? How do we catch that error? By adding a error block, na, over here, like this.
Yes.
Right? So if this API call is success, this subscribe block will execute. If there is any error, it will go over here. So in our case, if we return status code 500, this block will execute. Catch block, error block. Okay. Let's test this API first. So get employees. So this was the API. So see over here, return type. It is not returning that object. Return type is okay. Means we haven't executed, but if everything is success, it will return this, and array of this model it is going to return. Okay. Let's try it out. Execute. No, another API we are trying. Why this API got executed? Get employees. This, okay, in employee controller we are doing it. Master. Get drop down data. Try it out. Execute. Okay. So we got debugger over here. We got the list, right? So we got the list. This doesn't break. So we are returning OK. And along with OK status, we are sending the data also. Continue. Fine. So here you can see response type 200 and we got the data. So in network call now, uh, you know already, right? How we can see that network call. Is this project running? Okay, everyone knows now. How do we see the status call? Status code in API in network tab. Show you. Okay, see the network call. Once I change the language, one API call will be there. Okay, so see status code. This is that status code. If your API call is returning 200, over here you can see the status code 200. Okay, whenever it is a normal GET API, you will get 200. Whenever we are creating a new record, you will get 201, means record got created. Okay, so let's try that API also. Getting it, what we are seeing. So if you have to return the particular status code from your API, so your return type should be I action result, not a specific model or list or something. I action result. Okay. Then where is our post API? Okay. So this was our post API. Let's comment this. Okay. Now instead of this common response, I will say I action result. Okay. Now, if the record got created properly, okay. So, or if it's a save API and in this employee master, we have some validation. Bad request for no 400. When do we get bad request or 400 from API? What are the scenarios when do we get 400 or bad request from API?
When we are sending the wrong data, wrong format sometimes. When 400 series means use client side issues.
No. Yeah, obviously client side issue. Let's say our model is EMP
Yeah.
ID, then name, city. Okay. This is the object we have. And while hitting this API, uh, what do we say? Client side didn't send this property. So you will get 400 because what is the required object? You didn't send that. Okay. That is also one case. And city is required. You send the city, but you didn't send the value. That is also 400. Bad request. Getting it? So what API need and you didn't send it along with your request. So you will get 400. Bad request. Okay. So in employee model, we added the validation. Now. Let's see. Yeah, so we have the validation over here. Okay. So I need to handle that validation also in my API. So what we do, we can add one more check. If whatever the model object we are getting, we can check the status of that. Like it is that status model or object which we got is valid or not. Okay. So what we can do, model state dot is invalid is valid. Okay. Fine. Let's add this over here. If model state is valid, we are going to insert our do the write the execution steps for the inserting, or in else we have to return invalid state. Okay, so here we will say return bad request. Okay, and we have to stay means why what are the field we got, like what are the field which are not valid, so that message also we need to send now, so we can get that in model state. Okay. So whatever the object you are receiving over here in the object, you get a state of that in your model state. So is it valid or not? Right? What are the validation error? Sometimes you might have seen in response you get this was required, this was required. Something in response we get in the UI side. right? So that we get because of this. Okay. And if it is okay, so we will say status code 201 and message also. Let's say our object also we can send. In last API, we have sent the string message. Here we will say this object where we will get the updated ID. Okay, sorry, not over here. We have if and else block now. Over here, we will send object, and over here, what not status code, and we will send the object over here. And if email ID is already exist, what we can send return status code for warning. What we can use? Anyone have seen what we normally use in for warning? Which status we use? Invalid body or what? Or 500? Bad request only, no? Let's try bad request. Saying we can say email ID already exist. Okay. So see, multiple checks are there. First if statement is for invalid. If the model is valid, we will execute this piece of code. Inside this also, if email ID is already exist, we are returning bad request again. And if email ID is not there, we will create the record and we are returning 201. Okay. Else to this, if model is invalid, we are returning bad request along with the model state. Like for what are the field we have got error. Okay. And from the cache block, we will say 500. Return status code 500 and this message, the same thing we can put it over here. So now we don't need this. This also not needed. This also not needed. Okay. So this is how your API will look. Let's save and
So
check.
in this case, we will not require this common.
No. We are playing with status code. Either you
Yes.
can return your custom model or you will play with status code. Any of one. Got it?
Okay. So if we are using this one, then we don't need this common
Yes. No.
model.
We can do that also. Means along with
What is the
status code
standard?
also.
Which one is the preferred? Which one is we have
Both
to
are
use in?
prepared. Both are prepared. Say, as I said, na, let's say undo. Okay. So this is our actual code. So let's say with status code also we are playing. But apart from that, I need like in this case. So here we know the bad request. For model invalid also we are getting the bad request, and for email ID also we are getting the bad request. Right? But this is kind of a warning. It's not API is not breaking over here. Correct? So this we
Yes.
can send. Now over here we will send the message, means object. So now if it's a bad request, they will check if result properties, and here we can say result property as true. But since it's a bad request, we can check like why it got failed. So if it is a bad request and result is still true, we can say like it's we from API side we got the warning. Likewise, we write the API code also. Getting it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we
Clear.
use the combination of both things. Status code also, and inside that we return the proper object also. Clear?
Yes. Clear.
It's according to business requirement. What your project architecture is, like that we do. Okay.
Okay. Okay. In this one, we have the option that we can send our custom code.
Right. Custom
Code.
data also. Instead of sending
Yes. Yes.
message, we have a control. Right.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay.
More concise way is this. Let's stop and run again. Let's add debugger. Post. Okay. If I directly execute, I'm not sending any data. Let's remove it. Empty data I'm passing. Execute. Why didn't we get the debugger? Before that only it got broke. Yeah. Okay. So see, we got 400. Okay. Invalid body. So it's saying in our model, where it is our model? So name was required and contact number was required. City and email was optional. So see, in response we have got saying name is required and contact number is required. So we get in errors, we get array of object, right? For what are the fields you have got error. So this error we use it in the front end to loop. We use a loop and wherever we have this control, we show that respective message below that field. Okay, that is an Angular side. But you send an object, out of that object, which fields were not valid. So you get an error list inside that. Getting it? In current our model, only two things were required. So for those two things, we said we got the error. Okay. Now let's pass the proper data. Let's check existing email ID. I want to check that email ID exists. So this email ID is already there. Let's pass mobile number more digit than expected. In the database, we have a max as 10 only, but we are passing more. Okay. Let's try execute. Why we are not getting debugger? Again, it will go to invalid only, I think. Yeah. So see, for contact number, let's say in database, while creating database, you have created a column and that length you have said 10 digit. And if you send more data than the expected, so this kind of error you will get, like string or array will be truncated. But this is very generic because this message is coming from our model. We said over here max length and min length, na? So it is coming over here. But you might have seen that message. If you pass more data in contact number, string or number data would be truncated. That kind of message we get. If we pass more data to get inserted, then it's limit. Okay. But since on the model we have specified min length and max length, right? So that's why it is returning very generic error. The field content number must be a string or array type with a maximum of 10 digit only. Okay. Because we say we have added the validation. So it is validating that also. 3. Let's try executing. Okay. Now our API got executed. So before our API got executed, this model was getting validated. Okay. Now, so currently model is valid. See, we are getting true. So if model is valid, it will go over here. First, we are checking if email is already exist or not. We got the email data. So it will go to the else block. And here we are sending bad request along with the object also we are sending. So see, 400 we got and we got the object also. Either you can, with 400, either you can send the message also or you can send the object also. Understood? Let's try to change the message. Okay. Execute. Now email ID doesn't exist. So we will get successfully created. Continue. So see, 2 not 1 we got and we got the in response, we got the object also. Understood?
ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాలి ఇది సెటప్ విజువల్ స్టూడియోని ఎస్క్యూఎల్ సెటప్ చేసి
ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంది కదా
Sorry. Yeah, the
ఐఎస్ బుక్స్ తెచ్చాడు
you're talking?
నో సార్ నో సార్
Okay.
సార్
Understood everyone?
Sir, here for the result in line number 196, for the result, can we make it as false also because
Yeah,
we are going to
we
show
can.
some error?
I was explaining that now, so we can make it, it should be false only. because API is failing.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Sir. Yes.
So see, again, like in last session, I have explained why having API knowledge is important, right? Because someday you are going to be a UI lead, right? You are going to lead a team. So you are the person who is going to decide like what kind of response you are going to need from API side. Are you going to play with the status code, or or with in subscribe only you are going to handle error handling also? Okay. So if you are playing with status code, so in interceptor you can handle all the API error. You don't need to do that if result in every subscribe call. In the interceptor you will do it. So that's the decision you have to take when you are leading a team. And if you have this basic knowledge also from API side, like how what kind of response they can send, you can speak confidently. No, we are going to play with the status code. You, if any error, if there is any warning, any 500, 400, whatever it is, you send the status code, because in a single place we have the error handling for our API purpose. Angular people getting why having knowledge is also important. Even though you are not going to work on the API, but having basic knowledge is very important, because sometimes what happens now, API team and UI teams both are different. API team will think what UI people does, it just API call and UI only. They don't understand like we also create services, we also create model, because they think it's just a UI. So there are so many times you have to actually struggle with API team requesting API before, because when sprint start, they also start and we also start, right? Unless they complete the API and they host it on any environment, we cannot do some anything. Basic code we can write, but we cannot test it. So we ask them model, at least provide us a model so that we can design UI like that, right? API developers they don't want to provide that model also. They will say, let us complete the API, then you can start working. But we cannot wait, na? Because we also have to provide the status in Scrum call. What we are going to do? We cannot say we are waiting for the API. Scrum Master will ask us why you haven't started working, right? So if you know that before completing API also they can send the model, na? Because once the table is created, they can send this model. If they send this model, you can start working. You will create object also, you will create form also, everything you will make it ready. They can send the action name also, like API name. So whole your code will be ready. Just testing will be left. Once they host, you will just test it, right? Sometimes they will tell you, yeah, we cannot send the action API name. Yeah, they can send. Once they write the method, they know the method name, na? Controller and method name they can send, but they won't send it. Okay, because just you don't know like they can send or not. So having this knowledge is very important. Okay, everyone clear like what status code is and how we use it?
Yes.
One more.
Sir,
Yep.
might be I didn't get one point. Whenever we are writing on the front end, we will do it with the result part only. Might be you have explained, but I didn't get
See,
how
if you
can
are,
we do the same thing with the status code also, like
yeah, so we
interceptor
have to
something you're
implement
telling
this
right that I didn't.
subscribe. This subscribe will execute when your API call is success. Okay, but if it is
Uh,
error, this error block will execute. So here
yes,
we
sir.
handle errors. Instead of doing, instead of handling error in all the API call function like this, we write this code in interceptor in a single place. Okay. So if you don't have interceptor everywhere in every function, wherever you are subscribing, this error block should be there. Again, you will write if status code is 200 or 500, right? If status code is 500, if status code is not found, you will write some trail of code. Multiple if statement will be there for different error code. But instead of writing this in every function, you will handle that in a interceptor. Okay.
Got it, sir.
Yeah. Okay. One more not found we use. Where is the single API? Where is the single API? We created the single API, na? Yeah. Okay. So this API get employee by employee ID. So this API is going to return a single record. Okay. So how do we handle that? Let me comment this. Okay. So if singular default, if it got the record, we will get the record. If it didn't get the record, it will say null. So here, if okay, first we need to change this I action result. Okay. So if single record is equal to null, means we didn't get the record. So what we do? Return not found status is also there. Okay. And we can send the message also. No record found with provided ID. Okay. And in else, if it is not null, means we got the record, right? So we can pass the record. Return. Okay. And we will pass the object what we got. Okay. Let's test this API. So not found, just like 200 bad requests, we have this not found also. Okay. Okay. Now over here, I'm randomly passing something. I don't know if this if this ID exists or not. Execute. Do we have a debugger? No, no. So see, 4 not 4. No record found with the provided ID. Okay, not found. But if we find debugger is there. So if we pass employee ID as 2, we will get the particular record. Okay, 200 and we got the record. Fine. So this is also how we do. Understood? Anyone having any doubt? Okay. So let's take a break of 10 or 15 minutes. Then we will explain how do we insert data to multiple table in a single API. Okay, that is important one. So it's 8:40 now. Let's connect at 9 p.m. again. Fine all?
Okay.
Yeah. Bye. Okay. So now we are going to see how we insert data into multiple table from a single API. Okay. So I'm just covering all the possible scenarios what we normally need when we work on an API project. Okay. Like specifically .NET people, if you know something which I might be missing out, you can just let me know. Okay. Whatever I know, I'm covering everything. What was the database we were using? Employee DB. Employee DB. Okay. So now we will create two tables who has one-to-one relationship. What is one-to-one relationship? One-to-one. What is one-to-one relationship? Any example? Guys, are you there? One-to-one relationship. Any example? Mehboob? Amir? One-to-one relationship.
Sir, I'm thinking if I say employee table and department, it will be one to many. One to one means employee table and address table, something.
Address can be one or multiple.
I mean, one employee can have one address. So
Right. So that's a one-to-one now. See,
yeah,
what we normally could do, let's say you have an employee table. In employee table, almost 20 fields are there. Again, new requirement came and they said like we need to catch the address of the employee also, current address only. So a possibility is we can add more column into the employee table, or we can create a new table also. Because let's say existing record doesn't have address. Understand the situation. Let's say our project started. We initially had the 20 column for the employee where there was no address. Okay. After 1 year, client says we need to capture the address also. So now if we add the column in the same table, around 5 more columns, so 25 columns will be there. But previous employees doesn't have any address. For 1 year, what are the records we have added? Now we are adding new column, so we don't have data inside that column. So it's like unnecessary we are creating there, right? So in this kind of scenario, where some optional fields are there, for some record it can be there or some record it cannot be there. So instead of creating a huge table, we divide that table into another table. Okay. So address detail, we will be putting it into a different table. That will be 1 to 1. For one employee, we will have just one address. Okay. Let's create that now. So we already had that employee master table. Okay. So I will create an employee master table. Did we had address? Yeah. So see, address was not there. Okay. So let's create a table to capture our address also. So let's say now here there are two ways. Either we can store employee ID only over here. Which will be primary key also and which will be foreign key also. So we won't make it identity. Here we do that now. So here we won't make it identity because employee ID, we need a primary key for this table also and a foreign key, like of which employee we are storing the address over here. That is also fine. Or if we need a separate thing, so we can have an address ID also over here as a primary key. We will make it primary key and identity also. Okay, and we will have employee ID also, which will be foreign key. So benefit of having this, you can use this table for storing single address also and multiple also, na? Correct? Getting it or not? If we don't have this column address ID, so we will consider employee ID for a primary key also and a foreign key also. So we cannot insert multiple addresses to this table because we only have one column, which is employee ID. That is a primary key also and a foreign key also. So for one employee, we can have only one address. But if client says, for now, I don't know, like I'm going to insert one address or multiple address. So we have to keep our options open. So that's why we keep address ID as a primary key and employee ID is foreign key. Let's say after another year, client says, no, now we want to capture multiple address for an employee. So if you gone with the first approach where you don't have another primary key, so now you are stuck over there. Again, you need to write migration and everything. But if you, while creating database, while creating table only, you keep address ID as primary key and employee ID as a foreign key. Now you can insert multiple addresses also. Okay. So that's what I said yesterday. I explained, na, DB team cannot be replaced with AI. UI team and API team can be replaced with AI, but DB team cannot be replaced with AI because these decisions AI machine cannot take. Obviously, it can take, but we have to provide a proper scenarios also. All scenarios we have to provide, then only it will provide the exact solution. And who can provide all the scenarios? Only DB team, right? So we cannot have DB team and AI also. So that's why DB team cannot be replaced by AI very easily. Okay, fine. So employee team, let's say city, varchar, then what do we have? State, varchar, pin code, varchar, and address. Okay, just a basic table I'm creating. Save. What it will be? Employee. Address. Okay. So we have created our employee address table. Now next thing will be we have to create the model. Okay. So now in this model only, I will just copy paste this What's our table name?
No.
Employee address. Address ID. Guys, please be on mute. Sono. Employee ID, city. Just a minute. Okay, sorry. So city, state, okay. So we have created our model for the address table. Here integer will be there. Now this model we have to register to DB context. Okay. So that's our way. We create DB context, we create respective model for our table, and we add this model to our DB context. Okay. So here as a DB set. Employee addresses, getter setter. Okay. Now in master API, we will create one more API to insert employee and our address also. Okay. Now from a single API, we are going to insert data into multiple table, right? So we have two models. So now here we have to create, and from API, you are not going to send the two model. Now you are going to send whole properties into a single object. So now we have to create, wait, why it is giving error? Okay. So now we have to create a view model, which will combine properties from employee also and address also. Okay. So let's create a view model. What's the purpose of view model? What's the purpose of view model?
Display the result of.
I mean, it's a kind of view, like a
Model
model
which
which
is not
contain some
connected to
specific
database.
column, frequent use.
No, no, no.
Yes.
See, definition is like a model which is not connected to our database. It's just a normal class and which we are using to return some specific data. Got
Yes, sir.
it?
So frequent use data, we can put it in a view
Correct.
model.
Okay.
So yes.
So now here I'm copying this all the field from employee, moving it over here. Here also we can keep again validation. Then all the field from our address also. Okay. So now if you see here also we have EMP ID. Here also we have EMP ID. So this might get confused. So we remove primary key from over here. Okay. Let's say an address ID also we don't need. So this is our employee model. Okay. So now let's create an API. Save employee with address. Okay. I'm just copy pasting basic thing. Now over here, we are going to get employee view model, a combination of all the field from employee and the address also. Okay. Now, so here we are getting the data from both the model. So now over here, we have to create an instance of employee and address that we will save it to our database. Okay. So first employee model, new employee master, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. We are creating a new instance of our employee master. Okay. City is equal to, you will get data from your object dot city, not city. No? In employee master, we do, okay, we had a city over here. Let's remove this city. Okay. So contact number, then email ID, employee name. Okay. So this is our model for which we can use to insert the data, right? So now underscore db context dot employee master dot add emp. So whatever the object contain all the field from employee also and the address also. So this we cannot pass it over here. It will give us error because employee master needs object of employee object only. So this is another object, na? So we cannot pass it over here. So that's why we have created instance of this employee master class. We have created proper object by using the field what we are getting from the object, and that emp object we are passing it over here. Then underscore context dot save changes. Okay. So here we have successfully created employee. After that, we need to create address also. So again, we have to create address object also. Employee address. Okay. Now over here, address will be there. From again object we will use. Pin code we will use it from object. State we will use from object. Now over here, address ID is our primary key. We don't have to send it, but we need employee ID. So from where we will get the employee ID? What we will pass it over here? What we will pass it over here? While creating address, we need to pass the employee ID, na? Because otherwise how it will know like this address is of which employee? Foreign key is required over here. So how do we pass the employee ID over here? See, over here, once this line successfully executed in EMP, we get the ID, na? ID will be generated over here, employee ID. So that we will pass it over here. Got it now? Then we have to save the address. And here we will pass address to be getting saved. Okay, return. Okay. And we will send message created success. Okay, let's try this API. Getting it? First, we stored the employee. Once this line successfully executed in emp.emp ID, we will get the latest ID, whatever it is created. That ID, we are passing it over here as a foreign key. Okay, let's test this. Then you will understand. There is the error. Okay, we removed that. Let's comment it. Master. Save employee with address. Okay, so see, we have got a combination of all the field from employee also and the address also. Okay, let's say Rahul at the rate gmail.com, contact number 1111333344. city Pune, state Maharashtra, pin code 112233, address near SBI ATM, something. Okay. Did we added the debugger? Yeah. Okay. Let's execute. So see, in your object, you got all the field from employee also and the address also. Now, here we are creating instance of employee object. So see, everything we got, contact, email, and employee ID is 0. So now, if you see in the employee object, employee ID is 0 for now. Once this line successfully executed, we will get the employee ID. See, we got employee ID. Now this employee ID was needed in the address also. So that's why we are using it over here. And address is also created. Why it is saying employee address as invalid? Oh, in DB context, I think we have added S. It needs same thing. No, same thing is over here, no? Employee address. What's our same name we are using, no? Why it is saying it didn't match? Same database we are using, no? Oh my God. We have created in eStore DB. We need this table in employee DB. We can't push it also. Can we copy paste? No, no. Let's create the same.
सर वो एक क्वेरी होता है ना डंप करने का, तो डेटाबेस का इस पे कर सकते हैं ना।
कैसे करते? क्रिएट
वो सिलेक्ट स्टार इनटू करके और डॉट डॉट करके वो डेटाबेस का नाम डालेंगे जहाँ से लेना है, देन इट कैन
नॉर्मल
क्रिएट
क्यूरी
द
भी आती है ना?
टेबल।
नॉर्मल क्यूरी कैसे तो भी आती है ना यहाँ से?
क्या
इस टेबल का
क्रिएट करने का?
इस टेबल का
वही
क्रिएट
बता
वाला
रहा हूँ
क्यूरी
सर।
चाहिए। हाँ, ये आ गया ना?
अभी आप उस टेबल में वो डेटाबेस पे जा करके रहता ना।
नहीं, ठीक है ना, ये आ गया ना, अपने को क्यूरी मिल गया अपने को। एड्रेस का राइट क्लिक, स्क्रिप्ट टेबल है, क्रिएट टू करना है, न्यू क्यूरी विंडो, इस टेबल का क्रिएट वाला क्यूरी मिल जाता है अपने को। ओके, ये अपन इस वाले डेटाबेस पे रन कर देंगे। एग्जीक्यूट। ओके, लेट्स रन इट वन मोर टाइम। स्वैगर। Okay, execute. So first we are creating employee ID. We will get the employee ID as 3004, the next record. Then we created address object, that also we passed it to save. So now we got it. So here you can say address ID 1 we have got. So now we have successfully inserted the data into our both the models. Address, select. Okay, understood? So this is how we have successfully inserted data into single to single. Means for one employee, we can have one address. Okay. Now another scenario, for one employee, how do we insert multiple address? Okay. That single to multiple entity, right? You might have used some APIs like that, where a record will be there, and for that record, we have some multiple record also. For employee, we have multiple families. For employee, we have multiple addresses, like that. For product, we have multiple images, multiple attributes, something like that. Getting it? What I'm trying to say? Single with multiple. Okay, one to many.
Form array kind of thing.
Yeah, form array only, no? Right? In Angular, what we do with form array? If we have single with multiple entity, then only we create form array, right?
Yes.
So that API, how do we? Same object we will send, because While creating table, we said employee ID is a foreign key. So in this table also, for one employee, we can insert multiple addresses also. Okay. So for that, we have created this employee model as combination of both. But now for one employee, I'm going to send multiple object of addresses. So now my view model will change. So public class employee address view model. Okay. It's not required to specify name like view model, but uh, while working on a project, there are so many models. So you need to understand which is view model and which is connected to the database, right? So that's why whenever we create classes which are view models, we try to append the name like that. So it will be easier to understand like this is a view model. Okay. So that's why in so many projects I have seen like we add this something or instead of view model, someone will add view or something like that. Okay.
Sir,
Now,
we do like create a folder with the name view model and then put
yeah,
all the view
just
model inside there.
in a separate folder, we keep it also.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now we need field from employee master over here. Then we are going to need array of addresses, right? As I said, employee data will be single and addresses will be multiple. Okay. So here public list, what list we are going to get? Address. Address list and getter setter. Okay. So why it is saying this? Non-nullable. But the word must begin with uppercase address list. Why do? Okay, it is just a nullable warning. Okay. So whenever you have in Angular, whenever you have used the API where you are passing one data with along with multiple array or something. So this is the kind of model it normally has. Okay. Now,
Here we set address. This is equal to new hash set employee address. Then it will goes the error.
what do we need to do?
Is equal to new hash set.
Is equal to new hash set.
Hash
Hash set of address.
employee address.
No.
No.
List of, no?
List.
List of. No, still we are getting error. Instead of has said, see what kind of data we are going to store? List, na? So new list only. Why do we need has set? Correct? Right? Has set. If over here you has the has set, then you will initialize with has set. But here we have a list of error, so we are initializing like this. That's it. Okay.
Yes, okay.
So we have created. Forget about this now. If you don't understand, this is all. This was also enough. Just it was giving a warning. So we have created our model where a single employee information will be there and multiple address list will be there. Okay. Let's create a API to do that now. So create employee with addresses. Okay. Now over here, we are going to need a object of this. Okay. Now, so first employee insert data will be same. There won't be any change. Okay. This will be same. But now in object, see if I press object dot, see address list, multiple data we are going to get. So if it's multiple, we have to use the for loop. Okay. So for each loop we will use on obj dot address list, because here we are going to get the multiple addresses. So that address object here, it was single. Now this line will go over here. Okay. And over here, we will, instead of getting the data from object, in object, we don't have address field. In item, we have for loop. So item It's going over here. Okay. So whatever, when it was single to single, we created single object. Now this object, we will put it inside the for loop. Okay. And return. Okay. Okay. Let's debug this API now. So whenever it is single with multiple, na, we first insert the single data, we get the ID, which we are going to need in the multiple, and in for loop, we provide like this. Okay. Let's save and check it. Create employee with addresses. See, we got the UI like object like this. So let's say Aniket, contact number 1111333322. Okay. Now here, do we need to send address ID and the employee ID, or it should be 0? Do we need to update this to field? No, no. Address ID is the primary key, and employee ID we are going to generate and assign it, right? So we just need to provide state MAH pin code 223344. Let's say this is for Pune. This is one object. Then let's say employee has second address also. So comma, second object. Okay. Here, let's say Punjab. What's the state in Punjab?
Ludhiana.
Ludhiana. Okay. Do we have a debugger? Yes. Let's execute. We got error. What is saying? Object field is required. In pin code, string should be corrected, escape. In address, we have pin code. Did we do anything wrong in address? Comma is there. Okay, see here. Double quote is missing. Okay, so see. Object is single, and in address, we got 2 array. Okay, now first employee will be created. Employee ID is 301. Then it will go to the for loop, right? So first object. So see in item, we got Pune record. Okay. So we created object, we saved it, then second for loop. Now here we got Ludhiana address. Understood? So now we have inserted, for one employee, we have inserted 2 addresses. Let's execute. See, for 3005, we have 2 addresses, one for Pune and one for Punjab. Understood? So this is one to many.
Suppose we want only one address, second is an optional. So
Yeah. So
how to
if
do
you want one
validation?
address only, you will send one address only in the object. See, there are 2 scenarios. Let's say if your API should be like that, for one employee, you will pass only one object, one address. So this is the way. For one employee, there will be only one address. Okay. But if you need to add multiple addresses for one employee, so this will be your structure. Got it? You can have one address also or multiple address also, like that. Understood? Everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, the topic remaining, I'm just to list it out. So basic API and basic CRUD operation, return type, right? Single with multiple that we have seen. Now the left part is JWT login. First we will see normal login, then JWT login.
Sir, just a minute. Like if we want to retrieve through the get call, with single with multiple also, so we should write some list kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or
So see, first you will create an instance of this model. Where is our get API? So here you will create object of your employee model, this one. Okay, there you will get the single information from that. And there you will write after single or default, here you are going to get the employee single record. After that, you will write addresses dot where with ID. You will get addresses list. Let me quickly show that. Good question. Guys, see, she's an Angular developer, but she got a question because we created the record, but on click of edit, we need an object also like that, na, where we got single information and multiple addresses, right? So here we will get a single address, a single employee detail. Then where address list is equal to underscore context dot addresses. We are going to get multiple. So where m dot employee ID is equal to ID dot to list. Okay. So now employee information is also there and multiple addresses also there, but we need to return it back also. So we need to create instance of this model. Okay. So once we get the employee object, obj, it is this object dot your employee detail, you will get it from over here, single record, right? Like this. Contact number is equal to single record dot contact number. All the single detail you will get it like this. Then once you got the multiple address, that you will assign to object dot address list. This you will assign it over here. So now you got a model ready with single employee detail and multiple address, and this model you will return. Understood? So this will be your get API. On click of edit, you will be hitting this kind of API where you will get single object with multiple addresses. Clear?
So you mean like from the with the employee ID, we will retrieve the address
Employee detail
list.
also and addresses also. See now, we are returning this model. This model contain employee detail and multiple addresses. So employee detail we are assigning it over here and address we are assigning over here.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay, let me execute. Then you will understand. What was the record we created? 3005. Okay. Get employee by ID. Try it out. This. So see. We got single record that we are assigning into the object. Only two fields I have assigned. Okay. So if you see the object now, we got contact number and the name. Okay. Address list is 0. Why it is 1? Okay. Because we have initialized that like that. Okay. Then we are getting the addresses. Address list we have got, and that we are assigning to the object dot address. So see your object. Object with two addresses and employee detail.
Yes,
So this
sir,
is how
got
you
it.
got it. Understood? Then you
Yes,
can
sir,
bind it
got
on the UI. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please. Thank you.
So we will see the login, normal login. Then we will see the JWT login. Then how do we execute? What do we that? Stored procedure. How do we write an API where we are fetching data from the stored procedure? That we will see. Then how do we send email? How do we upload a file? Okay. So this 5 topic, what I can think of as remaining. Anyone?
Sir, versioning also there.
Versioning first,
If
I need to understand what is versioning.
yeah, but that is also pending, sir.
Yeah, but I also need to understand first because I have not.
Joins also.
What one?
Join.
Join, I think we have seen. Somewhere we have seen a join or no? We have seen join or no?
I mean, in get call, we have seen the joins previously.
In which controller we have seen join? I don't see the code. Anyone remember? We have seen join. No, no.
In C sharp, no, sir.
We have not written join yet.
No, no.
We will write the join also. Okay. So joins versioning. I will check how we do that. Again, anything? Anything remaining?
And so logging the exceptions using something like end log or seri log something.
Logger, no?
Yeah, logger.
Logger we will check. It's just a library we will install and what configuration it has done.
So basically, what we do, sir, in real time for logging API
See,
exceptions.
normally what happens now, there are two types of login. One for our purpose, right? We in try catch and in everywhere we what object we received, and if it get to the catch block, we put everything into a table, because when we have to debug, we refer that object. So when user executed this API, it came with this object, right? Then it got to the exception. What is the exception object? Everything we store into the DB. So we can analyze that and get to go to the actual root cause, right?
Yeah.
So
For
that
that
we
we can use loggers like
right.
Serilog I have seen that
I have
insert
also
that
not
data in
used,
a table.
but it might be a library we can use. Okay. Or we can
Okay.
write the custom code also.
Yeah, basically we insert in a database, you said, right?
Yeah, database only we need to insert, because how we are going to catch everything, no? Then we need it to be stored somewhere, right?
Yes, sir.
Production instances we get, no? So we use that data and then we go find the root cause why it was happening like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we use OAuth, OpenID?
Sorry, which one?
OAuth authentication.
CoAuth. What is CoAuth?
Azure.
No, Azure I won't be able to do it because I don't have server. We need Azure access, no? Then only we can implement that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine then. So these are the things are remaining. If you know any, just send me so that we can cover that also.
And sir, how to publish the API in GitHub?
That we will see. GitHub we cannot. How can we publish API on GitHub? If we are able to do that, then what's the use of server, na? Right?
I think in GitHub also we publish.
API, can we host API on GitHub?
We
We
post
should
the
not.
code
I don't know,
only.
but I just think.
Push the code only.
No, we cannot, no, because see, Angular is a JavaScript that we can host, but
Okay.
it need an IIS and everything, na? So we cannot host. Okay.
Okay, Angular we can host, right?
Yeah.
Sir, but this API is a .NET Core API, right? So IS is not like required or mandatory thing. Oh,
Is not required, but we need a
I
server, na?
mean,
How otherwise how you will host? Even though
by
IIS is
default
not,
it's a
I using
crystal.
IIS also and also Azure.
no,
We
even
can
though you are not
publish it.
using IIS when running, but it needs an environment, na? .NET environment. In that environment only you will be able to run the application, na? Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
How you can host? You cannot host it on GitHub. You need
Yeah,
a server.
GitHub we cannot do, but general server where we
Yeah.
like hosting our GoDaddy,
Yeah. If
where
we
we
have
put.
a .NET installed over there, we can host it. Okay.
Okay.
That we will see. I have multiple server. We will host it also there. Fine,
In
everyone.
Azure we can host, I think. Hosting Azure
Azure
we
also,
can
AWS
host.
also we can host. And in normal shared hosting also we can host.
Okay.
Azure and AWS, I won't be able to do it, but I have shared a host servers, so there I will be hosting it. We will create a subdomain and there we will host it. Yeah, Ganpat.
हेलो
Yeah, Vikrant.
सर, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि एम्प्लॉय जैसे एम्प्लॉय मास्टर जो है,
हम्म,
एक अपना जो डेटाबेस है उसके अंदर भी सेव कर रहे हैं।
हम्म।
सेम टू सेम मास्टर जो है दूसरा डेटाबेस है उसके अंदर भी सेव करना है इसी एपीआई से, तो वो कैसे करेंगे?
तो हमारे मल्टीपल डेटाबेस रहेंगे, मल्टीपल
हाँ,
डीबी
तो
कॉन्टेक्ट रहेंगे।
मल्टीपल डेटाबेस को पहले सेलेक्ट करना पड़ेगा ना, तो वो कैसे करेंगे?
नहीं नहीं, मतलब तुम्हें क्या करना है, एक ही एपीआई से एक डेटाबेस में भी स्टोर करना है, दूसरा डेटाबेस में भी स्टोर करना
हाँ,
है, करेक्ट?
तो हाँ बिल्कुल
हाँ,
करेक्ट।
तो तुम क्या करोगे, तुम्हारा जैसा ये एक डेटाबेस का ये एम्प्लॉय डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट है, वैसे दूसरा डेटाबेस का दूसरा डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट रहेगा, बराबर?
हाँ हाँ।
ओके। सो जहाँ पे अपनी पोस्ट एपीआई है, वहाँ पे पहले तुमने एम्प्लॉय डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट में स्टोर किया, फिर ऐसा ही लाइन वह रहेगा तुम्हारे दूसरे डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट के लिए। सो एट अ टाइम तुम दोनों डेटाबेस में डेटा स्टोर करोगे। गॉट इट?
अच्छा, एट ए टाइम नहीं करना है, मतलब अलग अलग होगा, लेकिन
लिखना तो अलग अलग ही
सेलेक्ट
करना
कैसे
पड़ेगा ना,
करेंगे डीबी?
सिलेक्ट नहीं करोगे। सी, हियर ऑल्सो,
डेटाबेस
हियर
सेलेक्ट
ऑल्सो,
करना पड़ेगा।
नहीं ना, वही बता रहा हूँ ना। देखो, तुम्हारा अभी ये एप्लीकेशन क्या है, एक ही डेटाबेस के साथ है, ये डेटाबेस का
हाँ
कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग है। यहाँ पे और एक कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग आ जाएगी, बराबर?
हम्म।
एक कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग और आ गई तो तुम्हारा और एक डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट
मैं
बनेगा।
शेयर करूं आपको एक, मेरा जो है वो
क्या?
करके
और दिखाओ,
दिखाऊं आपको? एसक्यूएल का ही है।
सुनो तो सही, मैं पहले क्या बता रहा हूँ, ठीक है?
हम्म।
तुम्हें एक एपीआई से दो डेटाबेस में, अलग अलग डेटाबेस में डेटा स्टोर करना है, ये तुम्हारा रिक्वायरमेंट है।
हाँ
सो तुमने एक कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग डाला, राइट? वैसे ही
ठीक
फिर
है।
से तुम दूसरा कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग डालोगे, दो कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग हो गई। दो
हम्म।
कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग आए तो तुम्हारे दो डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट बनेंगे, बराबर? ये एक डीबी
हाँ।
कॉन्टेक्ट हो गया तुम्हारे एक कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग के साथ, वैसे ही तुम्हारा दूसरा डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट बनेगा, राइट?
हम्म
फिर
हम्म
दूसरे डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी तुम मॉडल बनाएंगे, उसमें भी तुम डीबी सेट रजिस्टर करोगे। फिर जहां पे तुमको इंसर्ट करना है, यहाँ पे जैसे तुमने एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया ऊपर डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट का कंस्ट्रक्टर
हम्म
में, वैसे ही
हम्म
तुम दूसरे डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट का भी बनाओगे, बराबर? फिर
हम्म
जहां पे तुम सेव कर रहे हो, ये
हम्म,
एक डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में सेव करने का कोड, ये कॉपी पेस्ट हो जाएगा दूसरे डीबी कॉन्टेक्स्ट के साथ। दैट्स इट।
ठीक है।
ओके, करके देखो, कुछ एरर आए तो बताओ।
मैं सिनेरियो बता दूं सर, ये वाला ऐसा है।
हाँ, यही जो मैंने बताया ना, यही सेम फॉलो करो। ओके।
प्रोग्राम सीएस में भी सर चेंजेस करना पड़ेगा।
किसमें?
प्रोग्राम सीएस
हाँ, यहाँ पे वो रजिस्टर भी करना पड़ेगा ना दूसरा डीबी कॉन्टेक्ट, जैसे अपन ने ये किया, ये किया, वैसे दूसरा भी रजिस्टर करना पड़ेगा,
program.
बराबर? क्योंकि उसको कनेक्शन स्ट्रिंग तो भेजना पड़ेगा ना। ओके। हाँ गणपत।
This Swagger thing you have already covered in any video.
जस्ट वॉच प्रीवियस, प्रीवियस टू
Okay,
प्रीवियस आई थिंक।
okay. So for that thing, like hosting is not required. Okay, I'll just watch. After
या
that,
या
maybe I'll. Yeah.
या
Okay.
ओके, फाइन देन, थैंक यू ऑल, आई विल शेयर द रिकॉर्डिंग इन सम टाइम।
Thank you.
ओके।